Hey, I'm in the hospital for the how manyth, evereth, timeth. And I was just thinking, God, if I knew what this road would look like at the beginning, I don't think I could have been as brave as I would have needed to be to get to this point. Right now, I'm here because I've got a low platelet count, and the best they can tell from the hematologist and all the looking that they're doing is that the antibiotic that I was put on called Keflex, um, it's a rare but severe side effect, which is excessive bleeding or low platelets. And I was put on Keflex in February as well because I was here at Stanford Hospital for an infection that I had in the right tissue expander. So the diagnosis where cancer first was found was on my left breast, and I decided to have a prophylactic double mastectomy because I really wanted to not have to deal with the other breast down the line, and I just wanted to be done with it as best I could all at once. Well, if I've come to learn anything through this process, being done with it, as though it's just some checking a box or doing one thing, is just not a reality with this process of healing from breast cancer. So, man, I've just been through a lot, and I feel kind of ground down through this process. So basically, the non-cancer breast, well, hopefully they're both non-cancer at this point, but the right side is the breast that didn't have cancer in it, no diagnosis. And so I had tissue expanders placed, which they call immediate reconstruction. I had surgery last year, the day before Thanksgiving in 2018, and I developed a hematoma on the side that had the cancer. So they went in, scraped out all the tissue, placed the expanders, a tissue expander in each breast flap, I think they call it. No, skin fold, whatever. Anyway, in each place they put a tissue expander, and they had this sort of like a shrink wrap that comes on that they put on after the surgery, and it was pretty clear that the left breast was swelling and filling with blood. So basically they decided I had a hematoma, so I got rushed into surgery on Thanksgiving Day. They all came back in on Thanksgiving Day, and I went back under anesthesia, had the breathing tube, had a partial lung collapse. I guess that's something that can happen when you go into surgery and you're on the breathing tube. So I was dealing with that. But basically, they were able to deal with the hematoma, and I was in the hospital for a little bit. I went home, and then I ended up with, well, actually, I also had this thing called red breast syndrome on the left side as well. It was really red. It looked really infected, but there was really nothing to do about it at that point. Then I ended up getting an infection on the right side, the non-cancer side again, and that was in February. And I was told to come back down to Stanford ER, and I was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days, which seems about like what's happening right now. And I had a seroma, so that's where fluid fills outside the expander and underneath the skin, so they drained that. And then after that, I had radiation on the left side. Meanwhile, I finished chemo last year in October, so then I had radiation on the left side, and that took 5 weeks. And since then, the left side is doing amazing, which is really odd, ironic, because the plastic surgeon said if I had to bet money on which breast would be giving you trouble, it would be the one that was radiated. So it's not the one giving me trouble. So then, I had the infection. Okay, I said that, and then radiation, and then I went on a train trip with my daughter, and what I had noticed was that the right side was the skin was kind of like breaking down, getting purple. Something was definitely going on, and also the expander had fallen somewhat, so like the top of the expanders were not parallel with one another anymore. They weren't lined up. And so I came down here. Okay, they put me on Keflex in February when I had that infection. They also put me on vancomycin, which I was allergic to, and I think something else. So But the Keflex is the important part of the story, because as the skin started to break down and open, it became clear that they were going to need to remove the tissue expander. Like, just the process had failed, basically. So I came in and I was evaluated on Tuesday. I don't even know, today's Sunday. I was evaluated last Tuesday, and they said, yeah, you need to have surgery. So they were getting me ready for surgery on Wednesday, and I had surgery, and they removed the expander, and then they had it wrapped up in that saran wrap like stuff again, and basically that was like an outpatient surgery. And I stayed the night only because I was sort of like this last minute emergency surgery, and I didn't want to like go home right after the surgery. But basically, if I had had the surgery in the morning, they would have just let me go by the evening time. But what happened was, so I had the surgery around, I don't know what time that was. It's so hard for me to keep track of days and times and anesthesia and all this stuff. So anyway, they released me the next morning at 11 o'clock. I still don't know what day that was. And I went home, and I felt good. I felt fine. And then I started to notice that in place of where the expander was, that whole area was getting swollen. So I was like, okay, well, maybe some swelling is to be expected, but this doesn't look good. So I had been home like 3 hours, because I live nearly 200 miles from Stanford and the hospital here. So I got home, and I was corresponding with the on-call plastic surgeon team, and then I was showing them pictures and videos, and basically, so like no drainage was happening in the JP drain, and then we started to milk it, and then suddenly it was just filling up with blood. And I had probably, the output was something like 180 ml in, I don't know how many hours, but relatively short period of time. So they're like, okay, come on back down. So me and my rock star partner got into the car at 9:30. We were so exhausted, and we drove straight down here. It took 3 hours. And they admitted me, and basically what they determined from doing the CBC, the complete blood count test, that my platelets were low. So it's weird, because I had a hematoma. When I had a hematoma on the left side back in November, my platelets were fine. My platelets were fine in February. So a hematologist from Stanford here, 2 of them came and spoke to me and asked me tons of questions, trying to figure out, did my tattoos give me trouble? Like, did I have dirty needles when I got tattoos 25 years ago? And did I eat a bunch of walnuts recently? And oh my God, I don't even know what all questions. They asked me so many questions. Some seemed really random, and but they were all basically just trying to determine like why I would have this low platelets like that. So basically what they found out, and what I still think the verdict is the Keflex. It's like this rare but severe reaction that can happen, which is easy bruising. Well, when I was on this train trip with my daughter, we were looking at my legs and my arms, and I was like covered in bruises, and some of them were like huge. Some of them were these huge bruises. I thought that'd been going on for a while, but maybe it happened in February with that infection, and that might be why I'm thinking that it was a while ago. But basically, before I went on the train trip, she said, here, take this Keflex, so that, like the breast, in case the expander was to poke through on that trip, I would like save myself from infection. So I was on Keflex, and it was like 4 times a day. So yeah, so then I'm here, and they went in and got rid of this giant blood clot. They said, I can't remember how big, I don't know, it was a lot, it was like half a cup size or something like that. And I was so scared. Oh my gosh, I was just really scared. I was here by myself at that time. I had a friend come with me, or come meet me to pick me up and take me home, and then I was home for 3 hours, and then my rock star boyfriend came down with me, and then he had to go back, and it's just been like, musical chairs, musical cars, trying to figure out like who could be with me, how I'm gonna get home. So yeah, anyway, right now I've got a tissue expander in my left side, which is doing fine. And then I've got the right side, which is completely flattened like a pancake and looks like a giant raisin. Oh my gosh, it's so wild. And I've got this one drain in. I have one drain in only. And so I thought I was going to be able to go home today. Basically, they said platelet level should be, for like a normal healthy person, 150. And that's kind of where mine had been, at least 150 all along. And including in February when I was here with the infection. And then I got here and my platelet level was 17, and they didn't want to do surgery without it being 50, so they gave me a platelet transfusion, which is different from a blood transfusion. It's like just a certain piece of the blood, the platelets of the blood, instead of doing a full blood transfusion. They were maybe going to do the blood, but they didn't. So I got a platelet transfusion. It brought them up. The platelets went up to like 50. They were able to do surgery. And then I think they went back down. They gave me another transfusion during surgery. I think they went back down to like 43. And then they went back up to like 49 or 51. And 50 is kind of like the level at which they feel comfortable with me not getting a transfusion. And right now, let's see, this morning, so today's Sunday, and this morning my platelet level was 49, and last night it was 49. So I asked them like how long it'll be before my body starts to recreate its own platelets without me needing a transfusion, because there are some risks that come with any kind of transfusion as well. And they said I'm within the window of time that it takes for like the body to start doing that again. So I just don't feel comfortable with letting me go this morning, because I could like leave again, and then maybe this skin flap, I don't even know what to call this area now, what used to be my breast, what was an expander, and which is now just like shriveled up raisin skin, it could fill up with blood again, and then I would be like, driving this ridiculous amount, 200 miles in one way, and dealing with it, and I might have to go into surgery again, and just all this stuff. So anyway, the point is like, yeah, I don't know if I would have been able to go through everything I've gone through if I would have known exactly all these things that would have happened along the way. But, there's times where I think like, okay, well, maybe I should just go flat, maybe it's just not worth all of this in and out of the hospital, and am I doing all of this just to preserve a shape in my body, to have a womanly form, to have a shape of a breast, to be able to see breast when I look down. Well, I can't on one side, actually. I don't know if you can even see, but yeah, it's really hard to see. This side's totally flat, and this side has an expander. Maybe from the side you can tell. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely times where I'm like, I should have just gone flat. I think I probably could have lived with that and saved myself all of the hardship of going in and out of a hospital. I mean, I was worried I had leukemia, hepatitis, just there could have been a lot of things that the low platelets could have been, or bone metastases. Those were the main things I was worried about, but it seems pretty certain. I think I'm going to have to follow up with hematology when I get back and just have them check my blood. I would have thought my blood would have come back by now, because, the platelets, because I think it's been at least 5 days. I haven't taken the Keflex, but I don't know. I guess it takes longer. So I'm doing my best to hang in there and just get through it. And basically, like, what I have next, as long as I get through this, and I'll be living with like no breast and one breast. So it's kind of funny. I mean, I'm asymmetrical, which is something I didn't want to have to deal with in the beginning. That's part of the reason why I chose to also address having this, a bilateral mastectomy instead of a single mastectomy. So this will heal for 3 months, and then they want to take tissue and muscle from the right side, from the back. They tunnel under the skin and push the tissue forward, so that I actually have some fresh tissue there, because I don't have any right now. I just have the skin. And then at that point, they'll either let that heal for a period of time. No, actually, they tunnel the tissue forward and they put an expander or they put an implant, and then they also put an implant on my left side. So, I mean, I basically have at least one more surgery and possibly two. And so far, I've had 4 surgeries, just dealing with the expanders. That doesn't include getting the port in or getting it out, which I haven't gotten it out yet. And just doesn't include everything else. I've already had 4 surgeries. So sometimes I just think like, wow, I hear people say like, I've had 12 surgeries or 15 surgeries. And I'm like, how is that possible? I thought it would be like 1 or 3 or something like that maximum, but yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's just hard to know how it's going to go. They can't really predict how it's going to go for people. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to share that like full chronology of how it's gone, and just, I don't know. I mean, if somebody were to ask me like, would you make the same choice again? And it's like, I mean, if I knew then what I know now, probably not. But not knowing, I mean, not everybody has it go like have the difficulty that I'm having. So but I really don't know anybody, haven't really met anybody that was just like a slam dunk, came in, no problems, got it done, bam, they're out. There's usually something that happens. So yeah, I don't know. I would say to anybody, just really think about it for yourself and realize that it might not go as planned, and really healing is a curved line, not a straight line. And I think that that's really the best way of thinking about it, because then there's not really disappointment that things didn't go according to your expectations or plans. So anyway, I hope that helps for somebody. I don't know, it's all such an individual experience. It's really difficult at times, but I'm making it through. And if you're going through this, I know you'll make it through too. It's just a matter of trusting and having faith and staying strong and surrendering, and just doing your best to take each day, day by day, and not really try to look at the whole thing and be overwhelmed by the big picture, because really it's just a day by day and moment by moment situation. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody that might be going through this, to just like make a decision for yourself. So good luck to you, and take care.